She poisoned a beer meant for someone else and watched a man die by mistake. She kidnapped a newborn. She injected a decorated spy with a neurotoxin and put him in a coma. And somehow, over the last decade, General Hospital fans learned to love her anyway. Today, we're talking about Dr. Liesl Obrecht and why a string of brutal new betrayals might be about to drag one of soap opera's most beloved reformed villains right back into the darkness. Buckle up, because Liesl's story is a wild one, and it's about to get a lot messier. Let's set the scene, because Liesl Obrecht did not start out as anyone's favorite. Kathleen Gati debuted in the role back in August of 2012, and the character was only supposed to be a short-term guest part, a doctor at a Swiss clinic helping the supervillain César Faison keep Robin Scorpio Drake hidden away. That's it. That was the whole assignment. But Gati was so good and so unexpectedly funny in the role that the writers kept finding reasons to bring her back, and eventually built her into a full-blown contract villain. And when we say villain, we mean it. This is a woman who helped hold Robin captive for years, who injected Robert Scorpio with a neurotoxin that left him comatose, who faked a paternity test to sabotage her own daughter's relationship, and who, in one particularly infamous storyline, poisoned a beer intended for her rival, Anna Devane, only to watch Duke Lavery drink it instead and die. That's not misunderstood anti-heroine behavior. That's a genuine body count. And yet, somehow, Liesl Obrecht became one of the most beloved characters on the entire show. Kathleen Gati gave her this specific, self-invented accent, blending German and English into something eccentric and instantly recognizable. And she paired that with razor-sharp comic timing that turned Obrecht's scheming into something audiences actually looked forward to. Over the years, the writers gave her real depth too. We learned she was the biological mother of both Dr. Britt Westbourne and Detective Nathan West, and the sister of Madeline Reeves, making her aunt to Nina Reeves. Losing Nathan, who was murdered by Peter August, cracked something open in her. She actually took Peter hostage as revenge, which, considering how much fans grew to despise Peter, earned her more sympathy than backlash. She helped take down Victor Cassadine in Greenland. She donated bone marrow to save Willow Tate's life. She found real love with Scott Baldwin. Slowly, deliberately, Liesl Obrecht went from monster to a woman most fans were actively rooting for. But here's the thing about reformed soap villains. The show never actually declaws them completely, and General Hospital seems to be counting on that history right now. In the July 3rd episode, Liesl confronted her daughter Britt Westbourne over a serious betrayal of trust. Britt had let her mother believe that Cassius Faison was actually his twin brother Nathan West, and she'd kept Liesl completely in the dark about a forced cold fusion project she'd been dragged into. Liesl was furious, and honestly, who could blame her? She pointed out that she could have actually helped reverse engineer the medication involved if Britt had simply told her the truth. Neither of them realizes yet that Britt's Huntington's diagnosis and the medication tied to it was fake all along. But that's a whole separate mess for another video. The real wound here is emotional. Liesl doesn't feel like her daughter actually wants a genuine relationship with her. And that hurt is exactly the kind of thing that pushes a character like this toward drastic decisions. So, Liesl did what Liesl does when she's hurt. She pulled back from Britt and redirected all her focus onto Cassius. And that is about to blow up in her face in the worst possible way, because word is about to reach her that Cassius is supposedly dead. Now, longtime viewers already suspect that the villain called Z is lying about that death, using it as leverage while he hides Cassius somewhere to recover. But Liesl doesn't have the luxury of our outside perspective. As far as she knows, her son is gone. Both of her sons, gone, her relationship with her daughter, fractured. That is an incredibly rough place for any mother to be in, let alone one with Liesl's history of channeling grief into vengeance. It gets worse before it gets better, too. Liesl is going to watch James West and Nina Reeves absolutely fall apart with grief over the loss of who they believe is Nathan, not realizing it was actually Cassius wearing his brother's identity. Watching that devastation up close is only going to deepen Liesl's own heartbreak. And then comes the gut punch that could genuinely be the final straw. Liesl is going to learn that Jocelyn Jacks has struck a deal to protect the World Security Bureau from scandal by pinning the blame for the disastrous cold fusion catastrophe squarely on Cassius. painting him as the villain of the story while making Ross Cullum out to be the hero who died trying to stop him. Jocelyn gets something valuable out of that arrangement too, since it's part of a deal that frees Jason Morgan and Valentin Cassadine. But imagine being Liesl Obrecht in that moment, learning that her son's memory is being deliberately trashed and rewritten as a lie to protect other people's reputations. That is the kind of betrayal that could send even a reformed villain like Liesl right back into old habits. She has spent years building a softer version of herself, one defined by loyalty to her children and genuine loving relationships with people like Scott Baldwin. But grief plus betrayal plus feeling powerless is a combustible combination for any character. And it's an especially dangerous one for a woman with Liesl Obrecht's particular skill set and history of taking matters into her own hands. The show has spent 13 years proving that Liesl never really got fully declawed, no matter how many jokes and how much warmth got layered on top. If Jocelyn really is trashing Cassius's memory while Liesl is drowning in loss. Don't be surprised if the good doctor's claws come right back out. Whether that means confronting Jocelyn directly, going after Z for the truth, or something far more sinister. One thing feels certain, Liesl Obrecht's redemption arc might be about to hit its biggest test yet. Let me know in the comments whether you think Liesl goes full villain again. And hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in Port Charles.